Hey everybody. Okay, this is like my 20th attempt at making a 30-second introduction, and I don't know why I'm so terrible at it. It keeps going over to like a minute, and this one will too because of this preface. Anyway, so I'm going to get right to the point. I basically just want people to know at home, especially if you're new to this channel, that what you're going to see in this video and all my videos are demos of the gear interspersed with my own commentary on how this gear impressed me or not when I put them in my own ears. Okay, I will be listening to the demos alongside you just to help refresh my memory of what I experienced in my own ears and what I experienced in particular tracks, but all of my review commentary comes from real experiences, not through playback devices like speakers or computers or whatever. That being said, feel free to skip ahead to whatever track or product you are most interested in, or just grab a coffee like myself. This is iced today, and enjoy the demo video in its entirety. Sit back, relax, and let's hang out. Enjoy.
You get a shiver in the dark, it's raining in the park, but meantime, sound of the river, you stop and you hold everything. A band is blowing Dixie, double fall time. You feel alright when you hear the music ring. Well, now you step inside, but you don't see too many faces. Coming in out of the rain to hear the jazz go down. Competition in other places, but the horns, they blowing that sound. Way on down south, way on down south, London town. Check out Guitar George, he knows all the chords. But it's strictly rhythm, he doesn't want to make it cry or sing. If then an old guitar is all he can afford, when he gets up under the lights to play his thing. Harry doesn't mind if he doesn't make the scene. He's got a daytime job, he's doing alright. He can play the honky-tonk like anything, saving it up Friday night with the Sultans, with the Sultans of Swing. And a crowd of young boys, they're fooling around in the corner, drunk and dressed in their best brown baggies in their platform soles. They don't give a damn about any trumpet playing band. It ain't what they call rock and roll.
So that was pretty interesting. You know, what really struck me the most, what stood out for each product was so unique. The Crinical one was by far my least favorite. And unfortunately, in this case, I will say, and with complete transparency, the demo does not give the same amount of credit to the Crinical, the Crin Zero, as it does to the other pieces of gear. That being said, in real life, the Crin Zero is the most boring compared to the other two presented so far, just like it is comparatively boring in the demo. My personal take, that's all. Okay, if you prefer this kind of very neutral effect that the Crin Zero has, then maybe it's your thing. Maybe it's a cheap entry point to that kind of neutral tuning that Crin likes to go for in some cases. But I'm just not digging it at all. I was really disappointed when I put it in my ears. They look interesting. They have this nice blue speckle thing going on. I mean, aesthetics don't matter. They're in your ears. You don't see them. They matter only somewhat. They make you feel good about it when you open the box and you're like, let me put these nice things in my ear. But, you know, we shouldn't even waste time on it. Honestly, it's just, you're not going to buy it on aesthetics alone. It's very boring to me. I'm going to play less and less of it in the rest of the video and save more of the time here for more interesting comparisons to occur. It's kind of dead on arrival for me, the Crin Zero. Unfortunately, it's like a C-rated thing for me, quite plainly. Maybe even like a D+. Kai was very warm, very sumptuous, very engrossing all around. It had this lively, warm feel to it. I dare say natural. If you listen to it long enough, it feels like some kind of like warm acoustic environment where you're listening to music. Maybe some like the speakers have a lot of reverb to them or something. There's this connotation of warmth that the Kai has, which makes a lot of sense because Hawaiian bad guy, good audio reviews, however you call him, who is the one who helped tune this set, tends to have a warmer preference for past collaborations as well. In fact, the most similar one to the Kai to me is his Mele from Trpowin, and we are going to listen to that next to see how the Kai compares to that, how the warmth of the Kai compares to the warmth and lively feel of the Mele. Because I feel like they're in a similar enough budget, the Kai being like $25 more, where someone might want to consider, do I want to get the Kai after I already have the Mele? Or do I want to stick, or do I want to just stick to the Mele because it's good enough, or even my taste more? We're about to find out. But just before we move on, I will say about the Salnotes Zero. The Salnotes Zero is this brighter, sharper sound, clearly, compared to the Kai. But it's not sharp to the point of being sibilant, which is a very interesting thing, especially for only $20. This one, I think, beyond anything else recently that came out at $20, I think blows out the water. I think the Salnotes Zero is my king, like honest to goodness king of $20 picks. At this point, it's really kind of like splitting hairs or differences of opinions, whether you want to get the Salnotes Zero for its bright affect, or if you want to get something more like the Mele for $50 or the Kai for $75 for something warmer under $100. But it's kind of amazing to me that the Salnotes Zero is only $20 for the kind of sound it achieves without being fatiguing, without coming along with all that negative baggage we're used to for brighter gear like that at that cheap price point. It's really quite remarkable, and I give all the props to it. I don't know if I would give it a higher grade than something that is excelling in that same tuning style, like that's more expensive, like the Timeless or the Unique Melody Mest, but we're going to find out later how it does stack against those as well. My first impression commentary is always after this first demo track is always the longest. Now let's go to the others and see what we think after they're all compared again.
Last night all I think about is you. Don't stop, baby, you can walk too. Don't want, baby, think about you. You know that I'm never gonna lose. Sometimes all I think about is you. Late nights in the middle of June. Heat waves been faking me out. Can't make you happier now. Sometimes all I think about is you. Late nights in the middle of June. Heat waves been faking me out. Can't make you happier now. Usually I put something on TV, so we never think about you and
Okay, I was not planning to pause right there, but just zoning in on just the Salnotes Zero and Kai on that segment really started to show, if not already obvious before, how the Salnotes Zero excels in comparison to the Kai in certain respects and tastes. Again, it's like really such apples and oranges because the Kai is a warm set and the Salnotes just isn't. And it's not just warm on the Kai in terms of like lower bass being elevated or low mids being elevated, that kind of tune, but it's also warm in terms of the details have this more rounded edge to them because of the tuning or drivers or whatever it is. And the Salnotes, by comparison, again, probably just because of the tuning and lack of bass that the Kai has compared to what the Kai has, but the Salnotes Zero does come off perceptively as if you are getting more details, a sharper contrast around the sounds being produced by those vocalists and the instruments behind them, which is a very interesting thing. It could make you perk up and think, wow, the Salnotes Zero is by far my favorite pick. It may be. It may be. And you're saving, it's a third the cost of the Kai, which is maybe even a fourth the cost, which is really cool if you're into it. To me, it sounds like you could have both because they're just so different. The Kai is just such a luscious experience. You can't honestly sit there and be like, the Salnotes Zero is just better. It's different. It's so stylistically different. Anyway, let's carry on. Let's introduce what I plan to, without stopping here, was the Mele. And just to see how the Kai compares to it. And let's bring in the OH10 from Eco, the Eco OH10 Obsidian, as I like to call him. I don't like OH10. I think it sounds numerical and blah, blah, blah. Obsidian sounds cooler. Anyway, I'm getting like really like hyped up by this all of a sudden. I don't know why. I'm just excited to be sharing my thoughts on it suddenly. But yeah, let's listen to the Mele, the OH10 against the Kai and see if paying more or different prices and different tiers gets you any different qualities. Okay.
He always been faking me out. Can't make you happier now. Usually I put something on TV, so we never think about you and me. But today I see our reflections clearly in Hollywood, laying on the screen. You just need a better life than this. You need something I can never give. Fake water all across the road. It's gone now, the night is come, but sometimes all I think about is you. Late nights in the middle of June. He always been faking me out. Can't make you happier now. You can't fight it, you can't breathe. You say something so loving, but now I gotta let you go. You'll be better off in someone new. I don't wanna be alone. You know it hurts me too. You look so broken when you cry. One more and then I say goodbye. Sometimes all I think about is you. Late nights in the middle of June. He always been faking me out. Can't make you happier now. Sometimes all I think about is you. Late nights in the middle of June. He always been faking me out. Can't make you happier now. I just wonder what you're dreaming of when you sleep and smile so comfortable. I just wish that I could give you that look that's perfectly unsaid. Sometimes all I think about is you. Late nights in the middle of June. He always been faking me out. He always been faking me out. Sometimes all I think about is you. Late nights in the middle of June. He always been faking me out. Can't make you happier now. Sometimes all I think about is you. Late nights in the middle of June. He always been faking me out. Can't make you happier now.
All right, so Off the bat, yes, the OH10 sounds amazing, but it is very different in its intention as well. So to be fair to the Kai and the Mele, not only fair because, it's a totally different price bracket, but also to be fair in terms of the intentions behind the tuning, it is a bit of an apples and oranges comparison the more I think about it. Yes, the OH10 is more similar in overall intentionality with the low end than like maybe the Unique Melody Mist or the Timeless or other stuff. It has that warmth that the Mele and the Kai are packing, but unlike the Mele and the Kai, the OH10 has something going on with the treble or upper end that gives it that sharpness, that huge amounts of perceived detail and just excitement to it that I personally love. So I wanted to present it for anybody who is like-minded to me, who also liked the warmth of the Kai and the Mele, but wanted more detail to be put into it. That's what the OH10 is, okay? That being said, it is different. If you're somebody who's interested in the really warm stuff because of its ease of listening, because you can put it in your ears all day and never feel fatigued at all, the Kai and the Mele are fantastic choices. The OH10 can be too forward at times or for an extended listening. That's a big asterisk next to almost anything out there that sounds exciting, or even the Timeless, which everybody raves about, is quite fatiguing depending on what you're listening to and for how long. So that being said, what do I think about the Mele versus the Kai? Something that is really truly apples to apples comparison here. They're both very, very, very similar, okay, because they're both from the same person who tuned them, even though they're two different companies who manufactured them. They are obviously barking up the same tree from the guy who tuned them. Bad guy, good audio reviews. I got to give props to both of them. They're achieving something that I think a lot of people are going to want, which is this never fatigue you can listen to it all day feel. But personally, I prefer the Mele. I like how the Mele just dials down the warmth just a little bit to return some of that sharpness, some of that perceived detail and separation back to the listener. That's me personally. This is where it gets so subjective. You at home might actually love how much more luscious and easy to listen to that the Kai is, but it's just ever so slightly below the preferences that I have compared to the Mele. And the Mele is only $50 compared to the Kai's $74. So if you prefer the Mele like me, you're going to be saving some money as well. All right, that being said, let's move on. Up next is going to be I'm going to introduce the Tanchjim Ola, something that a lot of people have been recommending that I try. Thank you, Tanchjim, or what? I'll put the link in the description, but there was a vendor who gave them to me to try to review. T3 Plus, because it's like the budget king. A lot of people, including myself, thought it was like one of the best, if not the best options for under $100. So definitely got to see how the T3 Plus compared to these other budget picks today. And just at the end, let's have a little bit of a smidgen of the 7 Hertz Timeless, just to see what other big dog at $200 besides the OH10 can present to us.
I'm trying to go forward. I'm trying to forget.
Hey guys, this is day 2 for me trying to finish this video. It just got late the other day, so I had to stop what I was doing. I also have a new microphone, it's an old one from my closet. Let me know in the comments if you think it sounds better than what I've been using. Here is my conclusion today. Based on what we've just heard in this track, especially, but also throughout the video, I kind of think that certain earphones play with excitement and engagement more than others, for my taste. I do think, generally speaking, my favorite gear is the OH10 and the Timeless still at $200. I don't think that these budget picks are ultimately going to compete with this more expensive stuff that we have out there right now. But I do think that speaking to people who are in more of a budget range, I think you are going to be more interested in this stuff than maybe I am. That being said, I do think that this stuff being considered, the Kai, the Salnotes Zero, especially, are very, very good listens. They're just not going to be something that I pick up when I have something like the Timeless or the OH10 in my collection. But I will say something about that. The Kai and the Mele, which are both very, very warm, luscious, engaging sets, are totally welcome companions in anyone's collection because of their unique warmness, their unique warmth that nothing else really does. Like if you put on the Kai and then you try something like the OH10, you'll notice that the OH10 opens the sound up in this crystal clear kind of way relative to something like the Kai, but it loses what the Kai has. The Kai has this wonderful, engaging warmth, and the Obsidian or OH10 just doesn't in the same way. It's kind of like your gear checks off different boxes. I remember Josh Valor mentioned that kind of way of looking at it once in a video I watched way, way back, and it's kind of stuck with me. I think that's kind of an apt description of things in this hobby. You get some things to check off some boxes and some things to check off others. And the Kai and the Mele check off that nostalgic live performance, immersive feel of a warm stage performance. But it doesn't bring out the raw, crystal clear excitement that some tracks really deserve to have highlighted. I think this last track, especially by Royksop, really demonstrates that. It shows that you're only really going to bob your head up and down and get a thrill from it with certain gear. And this is where you can't say, oh, the Kai is going to satisfy me. It's just not there for this track. So this is where the recommendations go towards, especially under the budgets that we're talking about. I think the top recommendation for me is the T3 Plus. I actually thought it was very interesting that the T3 Plus sounded very, very similar to the Salnotes Zero and what made it exciting on this track, which could make you go, well, why not get the Salnotes Zero then? It's similarly exciting as the $70 Tin Hi-Fi T3 Plus. Well, yes, but the T3 Plus, I think if you listen to it very carefully, and I really tried to demonstrate this when I played them back to back, the T3 Plus, while similarly exciting, has a little bit more refinement, at least to my ear, in the notes. There's something about the way that the driver's acting, maybe, or it's just the way that it's tuned. I don't know for sure. It just comes off the T3 Plus like it's a more refined and smoothed around the edged version of the Salnotes Zero. It takes what the Zero does and makes it improved. And it adds this welcome low-end presence, this thump and thickness the T3 Plus does, that is also a welcome upgrade for me anyway, for my tastes. The Salnotes Zero, though, is a great pick as a beater set. It is something you would have as, regardless of whatever your collection is, I feel like literally anyone can pay $20 right now for the Salnotes Zero and use it every time they work out or do something active or go to a place where they don't want to lose their more expensive gear, and yet still deliver an unparalleled level of engagement and excitement at that budget that I've never seen. So it's the best beater option ever that I've heard. So that's pretty cool. Otherwise, I don't know if I missed anything. If I did, it's because the thing was either forgettable or like, okay, did I mention the Crin Zero? Because if I didn't, it's because it kind of is really boring and I didn't really think much of it. And the same thing about the Tanchjim Ola, except at least with the Tanchjim Ola, which I put in, by the way, because it is a budget piece of gear and a lot of people recommended I try it, and I did. It's just, the Tanchjim Ola sounds just a little bit more tonally natural. It sounds just a little bit more believable as real music being played. But there's something about when the Crin Zero came on earlier in the video that it hit with this weird, I almost unnatural. More so in the demo, by the way. I gotta say, I at least should say that the demo plays the Crin Zero with a little bit more of that off timbre than it sounds like in real life in my ears. But in real life, in my ears, the Crin Zero still sounds off compared to the other stuff. Maybe not as majorly as the demo, but it still sounds off. And I therefore can't really recommend it to anyone. It's a very kind of poor sound to me. It's not even as listenable as the $30 Tanchjim Ola. So like I don't really understand the point of it. I think in both cases, with the Crin Zero or the Tanchjim Ola, the only people who are going to like either of those really are people who might occasionally enjoy a more balanced or neutral tuning, because that's where they kind of live in with their style. Personally, I would prefer the Ola if I was going for a neutral sound in a budget, but I'm not recommending it. This is not a recommendation. This is not an endorsement. I'm going to leave you with another demo to let you, listen on your own without me saying anything, form your own opinions on it. And I will see you next time for what should be a very exciting video highlighting some more expensive gear. Unique Melody Mest, OH10, Timeless, Dunu SA6, etc., etc. Leave a comment, like, subscribe, all that. Bye.
Something in the way that all the way. Something in the shape and sound of your way. Will I fall to decide, or will I grow to the meaning here? Or will I keep open eyes? I can still feel the beating of love. 'Cause I keep searching, and all I ever find is a way things could be done instead. But I leave birds here for the mind. Something in the way that something in the shape and sound